I went from majors to indies. I kind of have been on all sides of it. I've managed artists. I've worked at an indie label. I've been at majors, and so I kind of end up being the most conflicted guy you're ever going to meet because give me either side of the argument. I can passionately go, the majors are right. No, they really suck.
So,
And both are true.
But for me, the Ted Cohen of lore, who was always, chairing mobile music forums, etc., and is very visible at Medium, always seemed to be branded with EMI all over him. Wasn't that your role for a long time, doing digital at EMI?
Well, for 6 years, my quick history, I got involved in digital. I mentioned this yesterday at 82 and Warner Records. We owned Atari, and we decided that it would really be neat if Warner Records and Atari got together and started exploring what was going to happen with all this digital stuff. And at the time, the Atari computer had 16K of memory, not gig, meg, 16K. And the modem speed was 300 bits, not 300K, but 300 bits. So it took as long to send an email in 1979 when I got my first email account as it would take now to send a movie. It was kind of slow. But we sat and talked about the ideas. And so 82 to 84, I was on this digital committee at at Warner. Left EMI and started working with Philips on a technology called CDI, which was this interactive platform. We worked on that for 10 years. Went through $1 billion, and for some reason they shut us down. Never understood that. But that was basically 87 to 97, and then 97 to 2000 I started representing every digital company known to man that existed in the first wave: Liquid Audio, Rioport, Amplified. I worked for the original Napster, all these different companies, and went to an EMI conference in May of 2000 to help them produce an event like this, but it was an internal global digital conference. And I got there and somebody handed me the program and it said, he said, "Why didn't you tell me about this?" And in the program it said, "Ted Cohen, Vice President, New Media, EMI." And I turned to the guy who had hired me, a guy named Jay Samet, and said, "What's this?" And he goes, "Oh, you start tomorrow, you're working here." So I said, "What's the deal?" And they said, "You can do any deal you want. We've watched what you've been doing, and basically bring in any deal you want and do it." So I did spend 2000 to 2006 at EMI, headed up global digital business development.
But here's my question. If EMI
Yes.
had the benefit of someone as savvy and as attuned to all things digital as you, with a carte blanche, sort of go ahead and do any deal, how come they never got a handle on digital? Or did they?
Two words: Alon Levy. Anybody know who Alon Levy is? Raise your hand if you know Alon. So from 2000 to 2002, it was a honeymoon. Ken Berry was chairman of EMI. It took 3 signatures. If I met with you, you had a client, or Rudy came in, he's got this great idea, and I said, "I want to do this." Jay, who I worked for, had to sign it, and then a guy named Tony Bates, who was the CFO globally for EMI, signed it, and Ken Berry signed it, and they just signed it. I mean, if I brought a deal in, I got 3 signatures, we could turn a deal around literally in 2 weeks. I left EMI in June of 2006 because when I left, it took 14 signatures to get a deal done, because in October of 2001, Ken Berry got fired, and Alon Levy and David Munz came in to run EMI, and Munz was fantastic. Levy is a really good businessman, but all of a sudden it was, we have to slow down, we have to get a handle on this. And all of a sudden it became committees and a form called a CSE. Did anybody here ever work at EMI? There's a form called a CSE, which used to be a form for why you were buying a desk chair. The form was turned into, why are you taking $1 million from this company? Anyway, 14 people had to sign off on the CSE. You would get remarks like, "I don't like their numbers in year 5 of the deal." There is no year 5 in the deal. By year 5, they've either been bought by Google or they're out of business. So I would say, "Give me a number that you want in year 5. I'll put it in there. Just sign the deal." It became numbing. So it slowed down to a crawl. EMI went from, in the first 2 years I was there, being at the forefront of every deal to being the last person at the table. And I think, respectfully, it's just getting better now. They've got some good people in there now, but Munz and Levy left about a year and a half ago. And so it's turning around, but it became, we were the last at the table with the least market share. And so what was the strategic advantage of being last?
Okay, so let's say you fell victim to the principle that a tiger doesn't change its stripes. Because I think widely the perception of the majors has been that they're behemoths that are sort of last, or well, let's say least aggressive when it comes to digital. Is that a misconception?
Well, I think the interesting thing is, look, two guys come in and they have an amazing idea. Somebody in the room here comes to see me. I'm at EMI, and they've got this amazing idea, and it, quote, changes the business. Now, they're starting a new business. They're trying to integrate their new model into an existing business, which at the time, in 2000, maybe even in 2003, 2004, was actually working pretty well. So the question is, do you throw out the current business model to adopt this new business model? It's not like you're starting from scratch. So it wasn't that EMI or Warner or any of the other majors or the indies didn't get it. It was, how do you adjust what's working to accommodate something that may work, that looks promising, that even is obvious that it's going to work? But how do you do that without upsetting Tesco or HMV or at the time Virgin Megastores or whatever, with a new model where you're saying Virgin Megastores is buying 50,000 of something every month, and these two guys want to give it away for free streaming on the radio, and you're saying to Virgin, yeah, we know you're paying for it, but these guys are going to give it away for free. So it's this delicate dance, and unfortunately the dance became too delicate and it didn't catch up.
Okay, so your point of view is that the majors actually did get it. It's just a matter of adapting into a new age.
I would say that there were people in every label group who got it, whether they could navigate through the established bureaucracy, whether it was the distribution company, whether it was business affairs. There was always some block that slowed it down. But I wouldn't say that the brush that's painted that, you know, the majors were stupid, they just didn't get it. That's not fair. Did they react quick enough? Absolutely not. And they missed the boat on being nimble enough.
Rudy, what's your take on this?
I go back in time to about 150 years previous to now, and if you were to go into some tiny little village, little farming village, and you see a bunch of farmers in the town hall like us having a discussion saying, God damn, these guys have got these great big fucking machines and they're ploughing the fields at 10 times the speed we can do it, and they're making more crops and they're making loads of money. We've got a mule, what should we do? The way the majors approach it was, we'll buy more mules, we'll get more people to plough the fields even quicker. And that's what they're doing. They're kind of looking at the changes and they can't quite adjust to it. That's industrialization, mass media, mass production, mass consumption, and it created this body called the masses, and all the power is centralized. That works for the major label structure. It wants central power. It wants to use the existing channels of media, retail, telecoms, and it wants to be in control. And it wants to sell things in the way that it likes to sell things, that it always has sold things. And we've had 150 years of that, and that's in the culture, and it's embedded. And when you go to business schools, that's what you teach you. Suddenly, the internet comes along, everything changes. Suddenly, as an artist, I still produce music. I don't need someone to give me a studio to do production. I don't need them to give me any distribution channels, because I can distribute it, I can market it, I can sell it, and I can reap the rewards of that myself. And so everything's changed, and lots of people are doing this now. The major labels haven't got a grip on that properly yet. I don't really understand the power of the consumer now. The consumer's in control. It's been going back like 30 or 40 years. People have been saying, you know, Alvin Toffler in Future Shock talked about the prosumer. Suddenly the consumer is saying, you know, I don't want that mass-produced good. I want it to work like this. You can go online now. You can design your Nike shoe yourself, all this kind of stuff. So the consumer is starting to come into the picture. The majors haven't caught on with that. They're big organizations. They're built for a specific structure to function a specific way. The small companies, I work for Ministry. It's a relatively big independent, but it still is a small company. Everybody can see everybody across the office. We talk constantly. We can see the changes, and we can adapt our models accordingly. So the way that we look at it is we're going through a transition. Nobody knows what's going to happen in this kind of digital future. There are lots of indicators that these things are more successful, those things are less successful. Everybody's kind of running over there doing that. Shit, that ain't the thing. Over there doing that, that ain't the thing either. So how do you navigate yourself through that? So we have an existing business model, which is based on the old production consumption model. And we're trying to make as much money out of that as we possibly can. But we're also transitioning into a future, and we're keeping our eyes on the big changes. I don't see a lot of that happening in the majors. I've been privy to lots of discussions, lots of so-called strategy documents across all of the big major labels, and I see a lot of conversation, but very, very little commitment to actually saying, you know, we're going to create a business unit within our business that just looks at this, focuses on this. It's not got to make the numbers this year. It's got to, you know, it hasn't got to deliver. It's just got to show us where it's all at, you know. And we're going to partner with these small guys. We're not going to crush them. Not going to do deals that make it impossible for them to exist in the future. And we're just going to relax a little bit. They don't know how to relax. They're very, very rigid.
Right. So,
Am I allowed to agree with them?
are you allowed to agree?
I agree with a lot of what you said. I think the two challenges for the majors have been, one, getting off of being focused on what's the per unit revenue as opposed to what's the per consumer revenue. How do we make money from consumers in multiple ways as opposed to we've always been getting 10 quid for this, so we have to continue to get 10 quid for this. The other challenge has been this is the first time, I agree with you that there were mules, and then all of a sudden there's combines and they're doing the fields. Cars came along and replaced horse and buggies. This is the first time I think that a business has been challenged by free, where the customers are basically saying, if you don't give it to us the way we want it, we're just going to take it from you.
All right, so let's get right to it. Digital dreams. I want to explore whether it's a pipe dream or whether it's a dream of a future where music actually can generate money. So, Ted, in your opinion, should music be free to the consumer?
So music can seem to be free. Music has been free through, I mean, we know it's been free through radio. It's been free through, you know, people playing in the street. There's been this opportunity to get free music, but it's been not available on demand free. And the first things that have come along.
Be?
If there's someone who's going to fund it, I think at the end of the day.
No, that's not the question.
Should
the
be
question
ultimately
is,
totally free.
Should music be free to the consumer, period? Yes, no?
No.
Rudy.
No.
If this was a debate, I'd have to say yes, but I agree. Music. How?
Well, wait. This is a debate.
No, it's not.
This is
It's not.
well,
Okay then. What do you think? No. Okay then. I would say that
I'd be happy to tell you what I think.
Okay then. Maybe there's a grey area. What is free? It's perception of free, or maybe the payment.
He said we're not allowed to do that, though. He said no perception.
Let me
He said
hold
it
your
should-
feet to the fire. Simple question. Should music be free to the consumer? Yes or no?
There's no such thing as free music.
No, well, wait. Should it be, in your opinion, should music be free to the consumer? Yes or no?
Which consumer?
You're the born politician. You're just right for this
great.
job, aren't you? Nice attempt to wiggle. I'm not going to let you wiggle out of this. The consumer is the ultimate end consumer of the music. Whoever in the old days would have bought the Pump Up the Volume 7-inch, right? Mm-hmm. And then in the next generation would buy re-release number 22 on CD. That consumer. Should music be free to that consumer, yes or no?
It's not a yes or no, but okay then. I'll give my. I will say something, and then I'll give you a yes or no. Okay.
All right.
Essentially, anything that's produced requires resource.
That's not the question.
No. And
We'll get to that.
and therefore, there is a cost to be paid.
We all know that.
Which means that music, it's not should. Music cannot be free. Not in the long term.
So we agree.
But again, you ducked the question. In forming our digital dream and trying to figure out what the business model is, should music be free to the consumer, yes or no?
No.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
So we got some answers. What I think about this is irrelevant because I'm just moderating. You
Go ahead. No,
you
what's
guys
your
are the
opinion?
stars
Let's
of
do
the
it.
show.
No. So, okay.
But wait. Let me get back to Rudy. I think you made a really important point. The question behind the first one is, can it be free? Is there such a thing as a business where you don't monetize the good that you're giving to the consumer? That's the issue that you were grappling with, and I think it's completely legitimate. That's the core issue. So You said no. In other words, we should expect the consumer to pay something for the music that they wish to consume, correct?
Yes.
So, okay, what about piracy? Right now, it's according to IFPI, we're at like, what, 81%, 83% of music not being paid for? So is that the correct term? When you look at 100 people that are enjoying the 25th re-release of Pump Up the Volume, 83% of those go to LimeWire or whatever else and get their MP3 copy for free. Quite high quality, by the way. So how do we deal with that?
So, I mean, the initial attempt has been to stick DRM all over tracks so that when tracks are distributed through an official licit, as opposed to illicit manner, you can't pass them on. Everybody knows that's like sticking barbed wire around a CD case. It doesn't work, it's bullshit. I need my music, I need to be able to do whatever I like with it once I've used it. Piracy is theft, there's no doubt about it. I'm not going to get into a moral kind of high horse about whether or not theft is good or bad, but ultimately, in the long term, it destroys the ability to produce goods.
Okay, so are you saying our digital dream consists of the 19 or 17% of music consumers that are actually willing to pay under your vision of the digital future?
I think the digital dream, it consists of giving the consumers flexible alternative ways to pay for music. So, for instance, at the moment, most people who are doing free music sites will say this is an ad revenue model. We all know that the ad revenue model is fucked and it doesn't really pay. And if you actually look at your
Ted, is it?
Currently, it's fucked because we've had this perfect storm of the economy. I don't know if we could go back and we didn't have the economic downturn that we had. Would we be in the same problem with the ad-supported services, with the CPMs, would the advertising rates have sustained? But right now, they're fucked. I agree.
What's missing is that we're still thinking old school. We're still thinking big multimedia, multi-channel retail outlets for music, shop fronts. That's going. It's going to go. What we need is very, very small direct consumer relationships. We need to build relationships with the fans who actually love the music. They're not going to steal as much from the music. They're going to actually pay for it. If they get it free, they're going to end up going out to buy more. They pass on the message and so on and so forth.
Right, okay, so
I'm sorry.
just to get back to the premise. So in other words, you're saying, yes, our digital dream will consist of maximizing what we can get from the 19% or 17% of the consumers that are actually willing to pay. Yes?
I don't know what the percentage of consumers would be
No, I'm
willing
just
to pay
going
in
with
the
the IFPI
future.
number, whatever the number is.
At the moment, that's where it lies, but that's not a dream, that's a reality. The dream is about the future, which is a different thing.
So for you, the dream is all about expanding from the 19% to capture more of what is currently an illicit market that we don't benefit from?
I mean, there are models that aren't being implemented right now, which would probably suit me better. For instance, I pay £10 a month to Napster. I get access to over 6 million songs. I love it. I can't live without it. However, if somebody said to me, you know what, you can have Napster for free, but you need to fill out one survey every quarter, you need to get an ad to your mobile phone once a week. Now, you can monetize that. That's marketing information. You can sell that on. No one's offering a model like that. They're saying, we'll do little banner ads on the website. When I put up Napster, I don't look at the fucking website anymore. I don't look at the music I'm listening to. It's an absurd structure. So we need more flexible ways. If I was presented with a list of, these are the ways that we want you to pay, there are 37 of them, which is the best model for you, then that's more flexible. Right now, it's just like, this is the way we used to do it. We put banners, we put this, that, and the other. It doesn't really work anymore.
Ted, how does it work in your opinion, our digital dream?
In the digital dream, you know, I think one of the challenges, again, for the majors was that, you know, we'd hear the phrase, you're treating your customers as if they were thieves. And at the top level of the company, they go, well, they are thieves. They're stealing our music. They're taking it. They're not paying us for it. Are they stealing it? We don't know. Are they not paying for it? That we definitely know. So that was a problem in the mindset. And I think what we've learned from it over the last 2-3 years is if you do basically let go of the, hey, you're a thief, and you start saying, okay, you're a music fan. We're going to start treating you as an ally, and we're going to treat you with respect, and we're going to take DRM off, and we're not going to limit how you use your music. We're basically going to take all those barriers out. That when there is that level of trust, there is a feeling from the fan back that he's willing to compensate the artist that he likes. So I think that's the hope, and that's in that 19-20%